A warm welcome to all our viewers. I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra and you're watching another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. India's diplomatic outreach continues to gain momentum as Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's Washington visit underscores New Delhi's strategic clarity and global responsibility. Engaging with key US officials, India not only strengthened defense and trade ties but also played a constructive role in addressing the evolving West Asia crisis. With balanced proactive diplomacy, India is emerging as a credible stabilizing force, reinforcing its position as a key global partner in times of uncertainty. Meanwhile, on the regional front, signs of a thaw are emerging in ties with Bangladesh. Take a look.
Amid ceasefire calls and ongoing discussions between the United States and Iran, India is treading with utmost care, balancing diplomacy and trade with precision. Reflecting this approach, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri visited Washington, D.C. for key talks with senior US officials. The discussions spanned trade, defense, technology, and key global developments, reaffirming the depth of India-US ties and a shared vision for stronger cooperation. The US has also indicated that it will soon host an Indian delegation in Washington, D.C., signaling a renewed push in bilateral trade as both sides move closer to finalizing a proposed agreement.
So it was not a routine diplomatic visit. It was a meeting, I think, with deep questions and deep answers to which both countries are putting their emphasis on. Cooperation in defense and technology and critical minerals. Especially India has signed on to the PAX Silica initiative also in December, I think, when India held the AI summit. The discussion would also have covered areas like the defense industrial base of India.
Amid the evolving West Asia crisis, India, like many nations, faced challenges in importing crude oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Despite these risks, India continues to secure a significant share of its energy supplies via this route, supported by its balanced diplomacy and engagement with all sides. It has also welcomed ceasefire calls and renewed dialogue between the United States and Iran, underscoring its support for stability and uninterrupted global energy flows.
We welcome the ceasefire reached and hope that it will lead to a lasting peace in West Asia. As we have continuously advocated earlier, de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy are essential to bring an early end to the ongoing conflict. The conflict has already caused immense suffering to people and disrupted global energy supply and trade networks. We expect that unimpeded freedom of navigation and global flow of commerce would prevail through the Strait of Hormuz. In addition, I would also like to add, India has always been in favor of peace. We welcome all steps that lead to peace and stability. We hope that this development in West Asia will also encourage peace efforts in Ukraine.
On the regional front, India is steadily rebuilding momentum in neighborhood ties. Khalilur Rahman visited New Delhi for the first high-level engagement following the electoral victory of the Tariq Rahman-led government in Dhaka. He met External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar with both sides discussing key issues and agreeing to stay in close contact. The meeting signals a renewed diplomatic push, reflecting Bangladesh's effort to balance global ambitions with domestic priorities.
I think high on Mr. Khalilur Rahman's agenda is his own candidacy for the presidency of the UNGA. That's number one. Number two, of course, they are interested in the energy relationship because they are facing a shortage of diesel. India has already given one very big tranche of diesel supply through the Friendship Pipeline that was built earlier during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's time. And now they're looking for more supplies from India. So that is something that they are very interested in.
Relations with Bangladesh came under strain following political developments in Dhaka in 2024. However, recent signals from the new leadership emphasizing mutual respect and shared interests points to a gradual thaw in ties. From Washington DC to West Asia and its neighborhood, India's diplomacy reflects strategic clarity and constructive engagement, reinforcing its role as a reliable global partner in uncertain times.
Moving on. Pakistan's deepening energy crisis is now directly impacting livelihoods and daily life. In Lahore, the government's decision to shut markets early under its power-saving plan has triggered widespread frustration among shopkeepers and consumers alike. While authorities claim the move will reduce electricity usage, critics argue it exposes poor planning and unequal enforcement. A report.
Pakistan's deepening energy crisis is now reshaping everyday life, as rising fuel costs and electricity shortages force strict conservation measures. What is being projected as a necessary step is increasingly drawing criticism for its impact on businesses and citizens. The impact is clearly visible in Lahore, where markets and shopping centers are now shutting early under the government's conservation plan. Officials say the move is aimed at reducing electricity consumption during peak hours, but it has significantly altered the city's evening economy.
कारोबार में तो ज़ाहिर बात असर पड़ता ही पड़ता है। जो अब कस्टमर जो है वो रात का होता है। अब ज़ाहिर बात है गर्मी आ गई है तो दोपहर के टाइम धूप ज़्यादा होती है, कोई कस्टमर नहीं निकलते। कोई ऑफिस वाले लोग होते हैं वो नहीं निकलते हैं। रात को जो है वो लोग ऑफिस से 7 बजे बंद करके ऑफिस आते हैं, तो ज़ाहिर बात है फिर दुकानदार तो डिस्टर्ब होंगे ना इस चीज़ के मामला में।
Market associations have also raised concerns questioning the uneven implementation of restrictions and alleging that small businesses are bearing the brunt.
एनर्जी कहाँ से सेव हो जाएगी भाईजान? एनर्जी का आपने होटल खोले हुए हैं, उनको वो दिया हुआ टेक अवे हर चीज़ दी हुई है, तो वो कैसे जो लोगों ने पब्लिक ने जब घर बैठेगी नहीं तो पब्लिक को कहाँ से एनर्जी सेव हो जाएगी? ट्रांसपोर्ट भी नहीं सेव हो सकती, कोई चीज़ पेट्रोल भी नहीं सेव होगा, कोई चीज़ सेव कैसे होगी? हर स्टोर खुला हुआ है, बड़ा बड़ा स्टोर खुले हुए हैं, छोटे दुकानदारों को मार रहे हैं आप लोग। ये जुल्म ना करें। अगर कानून बनाना है सबके लिए बनाए, पूरा पाकिस्तान को 8 बजे बंद करें।
For working professionals, the new timings are creating daily challenges, leaving little time for essential shopping after office hours.
जॉब पेशा लोग हैं, सुबह हमने 9 बजे ऑफिस जाना है, शाम को 7 बजे ऑफिस से 7:30 बजे तक घर पहुँचे हैं। बच्चों को लेकर बाजार शॉपिंग करने के लिए आए हैं, तो यहाँ पर हैं तो सारी शॉप्स बंद हो चुकी हैं, 8 बज चुके हैं। तो अब हम जैसे लोग प्राइवेट जॉब्स करने वाले हों या बैंक्स में जैसे लोग जॉब करते हैं, इन सब लोगों के लिए बहुत मुश्किल है कि आप किस टाइम शॉपिंग करेंगे। हमारे लिए तो बड़ा कन्वीनियंट होता था कि हम 8 बजे तक शॉपिंग करने आते थे और 10 बजे तक अपनी शॉपिंग वगैरह कंप्लीट कर लेते थे।
Pakistan's ongoing energy crisis is increasingly being seen as a reflection of deeper economic mismanagement and policy gaps. In Lahore and beyond, measures like early market closures highlight a system struggling to cope with rising demand and limited resources. Instead of long-term reforms, critics argue that such steps shift the burden onto small businesses and ordinary citizens, while failing to address structural issues in the power sector. As frustration grows, the crisis is no longer just about electricity, it is becoming a symbol of wider governance challenges facing the country.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent. Growth across developing Asia and the Pacific is projected to moderate this year as tensions in the Middle East continue to unsettle trade flows and energy markets, according to the Asian Development Bank. The degree of slowdown will largely depend on the duration of the conflict. The ADB estimates that regional growth may decline to 4.7% in 2026, down from 5.4% last year. At the same time, inflation is expected to climb to 5.6% compared to 3.0% in 2025, particularly if the conflict continues into the third quarter of the year, as outlined in its Asian Development Outlook report. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi arrived in the North Korean capital Pyongyang. Video footage showed Wang being received at Pyongyang International Airport by his North Korean counterpart Choi Son-hui. The two officials later held talks, followed by a banquet hosted by Choi. State media reported that Wong praised North Korea for achieving notable progress despite what he described as efforts by the United States and Western countries to pressure and isolate Pyongyang. At least 17 people, including 14 children, were killed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa after heavy rains caused roofs and walls of homes to collapse. Torrential rainfall over the past several days has battered both Pakistan and neighboring Afghanistan, triggering widespread flooding and destruction. Authorities indicated that the overall death toll across the two countries has climbed to over 40, highlighting the scale of devastation caused by the extreme weather. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese held talks in Singapore with counterpart Lawrence Wong, in which they vowed closer cooperation to ensure energy security in the face of disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict. Asia's oil trading hub of Singapore is the largest supplier of petrol and a major supplier of diesel and jet fuel to Australia, where tight domestic supplies of diesel are rattling the farming and mining sectors, its key users. The leaders said they agreed to ensure the flow of essential supplies including diesel and LNG, making maximum efforts to boost their energy security. Australia supplies about a third of Singapore's imports of liquefied natural gas, while getting about 26% of its refined fuel from the city-state. In Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, protests are intensifying over allegations of corruption and violation of merit within the Forest Department. Employees in Muzaffarabad have raised concerns over unfair seniority list, claiming that deserving staff are being overlooked while favoritism dictates promotions. Despite years of service, many workers say they remain deprived of their rights.
In Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, a protest demonstration was held outside the central office in Muzaffarabad, where Forest Department employees raised serious concerns over the violation of merit in the seniority list of peons. Workers say deserving employees have been sidelined, with promotions influenced by favoritism rather than fairness. The issue has triggered strong resentment as staff demand recognition of seniority and a transparent merit-based system.
आज ये जो हड़ताल है, ये कलामती हड़ताल है। ये वो लोग आए हुए जो मुतासर हैं। आज हमने इस हड़ताल को इतना कमजोर न समझा जाए कि आप देख रहे होंगे कि शायद ये वो लोग कम है। ये लोग कम नहीं, ये वो लोग हैं जिनके साथ सैनिटी में खिलवाड़ किया गया है। जिस तरह मेरे दोस्त ने कहा 2004 में और 2002 में भर्ती होने वाले आज वो भीख मांग रहे हैं, वो रिटायरमेंट के करीब है, उनकी उम्र 58 साल हो चुकी है, तो यह 59 साल का हो चुका है, पर उनको हक नहीं दिया गया। वो इसलिए नहीं दिया गया कि यहाँ पे अपने अजीज वर्कआउट को हमेशा प्रमोट किया गया और जो गरीब का बच्चा होता है उसको सिर्फ सन्यासी के पीछे लगाया जाता है।
For these employees, the struggle goes beyond promotions. Forest Department workers who play a vital role in protecting forests and wildlife continue to work under uncertainty and insecurity. Despite their service, they face neglect, lack of recognition, and limited career growth. Employees say this injustice must end, calling for urgent reforms, fair policies, and basic safeguards for those who are interested with preserving the region's natural resources.
जिसमें कुटला भी आता था, जिसमें लछराट भी था, जिसमें डन्ना भी था, तमाम मुजफ्फराबाद का कोटा था। इस कोटे को मजमूआ करके एक मोहल्ले का कोटा बना दिया गया, जिसकी पुरजोर मजम्मत करते हैं, हम नहीं मानते। दूसरी बात, ये जंग इन बेलदारों की है, इन बाचरों की है, अपने इनके हकूक़ के लिए हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं, खड़े रहेंगे हम वक्त। लेकिन इसके लिए आपको भी अपनी कमर बांधनी पड़ेगी, आपको भी हमारे साथ खड़ा होना पड़ेगा अपने हक के लिए। जब तक आप अपने हक के लिए नहीं खड़े होंगे तब तक आपको कोई भी हक नहीं दे सकता।
This protest is not an isolated case but reflects a wider pattern of hardship in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where people across sectors continue to face corruption, administrative neglect, and lack of accountability. From delayed payments to limited opportunities and weak infrastructure, daily life remains a struggle. Repeated protests highlight growing public frustration as citizens demand systematic reforms and a governance structure that ensures fairness, transparency, and basic dignity.
India is steadily emerging as a global leader in nature conservation, strengthening the protection of its rich wildlife and diverse ecosystems. From protecting endangered species to promoting ecotourism, the country is proving that development and conservation can thrive together. And Gujarat's Pariyej wetland is a shining example of this vision in action. Where wetlands whisper and wings rule the skyline, Gujarat's Pariyej wetland in Kheda district is scripting a conservation glow up. It has become a thriving ecotourism destination and a safe haven for the Sarus crane, the world's tallest flying bird. A June 2025 survey recorded 1,477 Sarus cranes across Kheda and Anand districts, reflecting a steady rise powered by consistent conservation efforts. With over 120 bird species now calling it home, Pariyej is a dream spot for bird watchers. This win is powered by teamwork. The Forest Department, NGOs, students, and local farmers coming together to protect the cranes and keeping the wetland alive and thriving.
સારસ ક્રેનની જે 2015માં 500ની આસપાસ જે સંખ્યા હતી જે વધીને 2025માં આ સૌના સાથ સહકારથી 1400ની આસપાસ થઈ છે અને અહીંયા આગળ જે વેટલેન્ડ વિસ્તાર છે તેમાં આજુબાજુના ઘણા ટુરિસ્ટો પણ અહીંયા આગળ આવીને પક્ષીઓનો નિહાળતા હોય છે.
Pariyej wetland is steadily attracting visitors in search of a peaceful, nature-based retreat. With its serene waters, rich bird life, and calm surroundings, it offers a refreshing escape for bird watchers, photographers, and ecotourism enthusiasts alike.
हमने कल देखा था इंस्टाग्राम पे, तो हम सिर्फ यहाँ पे व्यू करने के लिए आए थे बर्ड्स के लिए, और वो अच्छा है, बहुत पीस है.
એમાંથી એક સ્પીસીસ જેમ કે સારસ, તો સારસ બર્ડ એક ઉત્તર પ્રદેશ સિવાય ગુજરાતમાં એકમાત્ર ખેડા જિલ્લામાં જોવા મળતું સ્પીસીસ છે, જેના ઉપર સંરક્ષણ ગુજરાત સરકાર દ્વારા અલગ અલગ યોજનાઓ પણ ચાલી રહી છે આ પ્રોજેક્ટ માટે, અને પર્યટન સ્થળ તરીકે પરેજને સારું વિકસાવવામાં આવ્યું છે.
NGOs are giving conservation a serious upgrade through community outreach and scientific monitoring. The Shroff's UPL Foundation, through its UPI Sarus Conservation Project, teams up with government bodies and local communities to protect Sarus habitats and spread awareness, turning conservation into a collective, on-ground movement.
એમાં સારસનું પોપ્યુલેશન મોનિટરિંગ, એના માળાનું રક્ષણ, પછી જે સ્કૂલના શાળાના વિદ્યાર્થીઓ છે એમના અવેરનેસ પ્રોગ્રામ, સ્થાનિક લોકો સાથે અવેરનેસ પ્રોગ્રામ્સ, એવી અલગ અલગ પ્રવૃત્તિઓ કરતા હોઈએ છીએ. આના લોકો કેવી રીતે અલ્ટરનેટિવ લાઇવલીહુડ જનરેટ કરી શકે એના માટે અમે યુથને નેચર ગાઈડ ટ્રેનિંગ પણ છેલ્લા 4 વર્ષથી આપીએ છીએ, અને એમાં અમારી સાથે 40+ ગામડાના 90 જેટલા વોલેન્ટિયર્સ અમારી સાથે જોડાયેલા છે.
With rising Sarus numbers, growing ecotourism, and youth-led awareness, this wetland is more than a birding spot. It's a living example of how protecting nature can power sustainable futures. In every protected habitat lies India's promise of a greener future. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Till then, goodbye and take care.